Welcome everyone, Simon here from the Wells of Wall Street. Enjin is the update today, ENJ on the exchange. Guys, this is a project we've been following a long time. Big holder of this personally, with Steve as well. And we've done a multitude of videos on Enjin in the past. Absolutely phenomenal. But I wanted to touch on a couple of bits of information before we go into the chart. So obviously there's been a massive topic recently around Metaverse, of course, Enjin being a massive part in the aspect of the development of NFTs and other gaming aspects on blockchain as well. The minting process, the melting process, all the really cool stuff that Enjin's capable of doing to really transform everyone's engagement and abilities within blockchain gaming environments. Now, I thought this was quite cool. AR tech. So essentially, this is kind of like the beginning almost of creating your avatars and getting them ready. Of course, AR's been around for some time now. We've seen a multitude of different applications towards this kind of thing. It's not new, but the aspect of formulating it as an NFT or your own ownership, of course, is what Enjin is all about. So definitely something to have a look into, or perhaps find a developer or someone that can actually start activating your avatar in a digital format for sure. There's loads of options to get through that. But leading on to the topic of Metaverse, so Enjin has formed a $100 million fund to support the Metaverse project. So of course we have recently kind of covered that Efinity aspect, trying to go on the Parachain network of Polkadot. But the Efinity Metaverse Fund will aim to support work on Metaverse projects on Enjin and Polkadot. So really cool. You know what I think? In general, I think Efinity will probably definitely go on to the Parachains anyway, because this partnership is so strong, and the Polka markets, the Polka gaming aspect is really heating up as well, and I think Enjin very much accompanies it very well. So it'd be really interesting to see how this occurs. Of course, as it mentions here, Efinity originally developed for Ethereum, but because the gas price is absolutely ridiculous, so they've raised $18.9 million, guys, to help migrate themselves from Ethereum to the Enjin, so the Polkadot platform, which is actually quite an incredible amount of money, really, to be able to do that. And it just shows you their initiative and their ambition to really want to take this gaming aspect by storm. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see the development of this, especially around the NFT aspect. And of course, they mentioned things about the DApp situation as well. It's really, really exciting stuff. We'll just go back into the actual official announcement here on the Enjin website. But yeah, very, very excited about this personally. And of course, Efinity is another big part of Enjin. And that's kind of where the focus is of the $100 million fund here. So around the gaming, the aspects of the different projects available, the decentralized infrastructure, this is the most important part to me, because in my opinion, if you're going to go into a Facebook metaverse, you are going into a centralized metaverse. That is my thoughts and feelings on that. People want to move into decentralization and move away from the control mechanism, the data capturing and all this stuff. I'm about decentralization. What's the point in pushing yourself into a virtual world that is just going to be completely controlled by institutional levels when it should be open sourced, essentially, within regulations and stuff, to be able to be free and do what you please as long as it's not anything stupid or anything. But it's really exciting times, guys, for Metaverse in general, but more importantly as well for projects like Enjin and the Efinity token within this system to push us to new levels as time goes by. And I think Enjin in general, let's actually go into the chart now, guys. To be fair, might as well smash the like button if you're enjoying the information, and hit that subscribe button as well if you've not done so already. And if you're new to the channel, welcome aboard. Hopefully you are enjoying yourselves. So guys, do you know what I think? Realistically, I think we said it a few videos back on Enjin. I generally believe that Enjin could definitely get to sort of like maybe up to that $15 mark in this bull run in the coming months. I think the intake of gaming and metaverse will of course take some time. I do think that has had an influence in the Enjin, particularly the Enjin chart that we see here, as well as other gaming related kind of projects as well, of course. But in general principle, this is still so early for Enjin, and I think in the long run, these prices are going to be almost non-existent as we look maybe 5-10 years into the future. I was getting Enjin, I can't remember when I was getting Enjin actually. I think it was like 20 cents or something stupid. So we've seen some significant growth. I thought it had more time to accumulate more at less than $1, and that just wasn't the case. And that's where we are. I'm not really accumulating anymore because I've sort of got the good enough bag personally. But for those out there that are looking to try and have maybe potential entry point, like I said, I think even around these price points is still very good, of course. But let's just maintain the aspect that we might see a small sort of correction at some point, because we are quite over leveraged or over purchased, certainly since arguably around the sort of towards the end of October. So the last couple of weeks have been very, very positive indeed. As we know, the metaverse conversations have been really taking off. We had this parabolic run here, 24th of October to the 30th. We've had a big correction already, which we saw here on the 31st of October. And then we've had arguably some stabilization, but in a nice positive upward trend mechanism as well. So the MACD is continuing to do its thing, but this is very steep, guys. So just be wary of that. There's a lot of intake because of the interest and everything like that. But once that dies down a bit, I'm sure we'll see a bit of a correction here. And not massive, like I don't think we're going to go absolutely mental and completely flop this thing. But what we've got to anticipate is that, of course, we've had a couple of touch points here around May, but generally speaking, kind of like around here in August, this is quite an interesting area, because actually from this point here around the 29th of October, we're very much in the sort of full-on price discovery mode, really, in that aspect. So it's really interesting to see how we take this forward. We've had the all-time high quite recently as well here, $3.49 on the 31st. I thought it was going to do it today, but it couldn't quite get there. So we're currently floating around the $3.35 mark. So yeah, like I said, from this kind of point onwards that we've seen here from the 30th of August and up to the 29th, we had this nice correctional dip. We haven't seen any kind of aspect yet of what our real support lines are moving forward. So that's why I said just anticipate a potential drop down. I'm not suggesting it will definitely come back down to around these 230 mark or so before we take it up again. But certainly you can always generally sometimes expect at least around 50 to 60% correction at some point in maybe the near future. But I do think for now the momentum is of course continuing upwards, trying to smash through that previous all-time high we set a few days ago. And the next levels up, guys, really around that $3.90 to $4 mark. So I do anticipate some resistance. And that's, to be fair, that where that red line is on that fib retracement on the short macro term, I think that's pretty spot on, to be honest. We might see a wick over the $4, but I generally actually think we'll get quite a bit of resistance at that $4 mark. And that's probably what will start the catalyst to bring us down a bit further, because there will be a lot of profit taking. There's a lot of people definitely that jumped in around this sort of 150 area, as we had the correction. So there's going to be a lot of people taking that kind of like double profit mechanism. Obviously like 120 to $4 is obviously a fantastic move. So it's a really good positive way to take profit on that aspect. I'm holding mine certainly to larger numbers. I do generally believe this is going a lot higher in the coming months. But like I said, if you're looking to enter Enjin, of course you can come in whenever you want. This is not financial advice, but I just mentioned that we are on a good run for the last few weeks. There may be an opportunity and a potential correction in the near future. So just keep an eye out for that. We're in a strong buy mode at the moment as it is. So it's very top heavy in my opinion. RSI is at 72, so that is quite top heavy. We have had the 84, 85, I think, way back here on the 30th. So that was kind of like topping out, if you like. Now we're trying to restructure to see if we can get a support around this sort of maybe 280 mark, so we can take this to another level. But I'm just being cautious, guys. So let us know what you think about that in the comments below. And why not, let's just have a quick look at Efinity. I wasn't actually planning to in this video, to be honest, but just for you guys out there that are perhaps interested in both these kind of elements of the project, let's just take a look. If I can actually find the thing, first of all, would be really helpful. There it is. Brilliant. So EFI currently floating around the 150 mark. Again, parabolic moves really for the last couple of weeks, in kind of fruition really with Enjin's movements as well. I'm just going to pull this across from the previous video, and it's quite interesting to see how that's developed actually. Look at that, pretty much bang on those lines. Absolutely incredible. So it's flown from that 92-cent support line and smashed its way through to this new dizzy heights here, up here at 150. So congratulations to those that are holding Efinity and did get in those drops in the previous video that we mentioned. It was a good time really to get involved. The RSI was floating around that nice healthy mark of 40, and look at that transition to 76, even a high of 79 there on the RSI. That is an incredible double movement there in such a short space of time. So well done to those that did that, and perhaps took some thoughts from our previous video. Not saying that we're always correct, but it's nice to see when it does certainly come across in a positive fashion that way. I'm just going to add another little mini fib retracement here on a macro level, just so I can roughly see what we're trying to achieve here in perhaps a potential new support mechanism. So 140 is obviously a key line around this area. The big push-ups here to around the 160 mark and beyond. So that's obviously not quite near the previous all-time high yet. I mean, we obviously had the launch day, which was ridiculous, up here, $3.32. We've got plenty of movement left in the tank to try and get ourselves back up there. But for sure, this is crazy moves. 9th of August, of course, Efinity is not massively old, so this is why the chart's quite short. But this high of here of 188 is obviously going to be a clear area of resistance as we approach it. But what's really interesting is if you look here around this August period, there's a lot of action around this area, kind of like 147, which is very much where we're floating around now. So it's literally this kind of area that we're going to see, I think, not necessarily volatility, but we're going to have some question marks as to whether we can get Efinity supporting around that area, or if we're going to have a bit more of a correction, maybe back down to this sort of 120 or 115 mark. In fact, what I'm going to do actually, in my because I don't hold Efinity, guys. I hold a lot of Enjin, I don't hold Efinity. But what I'm going to do right now is just draw in an area of interest to myself to try and potentially take advantage of. So I'm going to actually take this area here and maybe a lower end. So I'm going to put 2 buy orders in, one at 126 and one down here at 160. I'm not saying it's definitely going to come down here, but I'm very interested. I'm not going to be purchasing right now. I think we're very top heavy personally. You can see this histogram here. I'm just going to pull this up so you can see it in a bit more detail. That's very good purchasing power here, and I understand that Efinity is a fantastic element of Enjin, but this is too much for me personally. Okay, so the MACD is obviously widening, it's very steep, so I'm looking back down here. You might be calling me crazy, you might be thinking no, it's on its way, it's going up and up and up. Well, we'll see about that, but I'm not too particularly confident because we have not got too much data here to confirm support and resistance areas. So that's where I'm going for. Let me know if you think that's ridiculous or not, or if you think we're going higher and not even coming back to these levels or not. If you're holding Efinity, congratulations. Let us know if you are holding that. And also with Enjin as well, ENJ, let us know when you got in. What was the price point you got in at Enjin? And guys, I'm so looking forward to seeing the further developments of both of these projects aspects. Absolute powerhouse, and a great honor to be holding this. Absolutely love it. Guys, we'll catch you in the next update of ENJ and EFI. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.